We just had our first tournaments of OG season, so I get to talk about what I think of the current competitive meta. What are some of the issues? What do I like? What do I dislike? And what are some of the most ridiculous bugs we've ever seen, already causing the first tournament to have to get cancelled? Now, I also want to talk about some of the crazy new trios that just got formed. We have Peterbot dropping Bugha and Cold, but did he end up replacing Poyo like I predicted? There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. Are you trying to improve at Fortnite, but you just don't know where to begin? You're watching YouTube guys, you're practicing your mechanics, but you just don't know what's going wrong. Well, that's where the sponsor of today's video, Blitz, comes in. All you have to do is download the Blitz app and run it on the background of your PC. It'll break down all of your stats like damage done, damage taken, headshot ratio, and it'll even do this per weapon, so you can figure out which weapons you need to improve on. Not only that, it'll then compare it to other players of different ranks or even the pros, so you really know what you need to work on. It also has a bunch of useful tools like finding the best drop spot. We have a whole bunch of new updates coming out, and when the map changes, you might not know where's the best new drop. There might be a new chest, a new location. That's where Blitz comes in. You can check where all of this loot is and try to figure out the best loot path. Maybe you're a little bit further down the line in progression. You're playing in tournaments and you're worrying about Storm Surge. Blitz can even keep track of how much damage you and your teammate have done, so you can keep track of how you're looking on Storm Surge. You can even see your teammates' loadouts if you need to figure out how many meds they're carrying, or you're a little bit panicked in endgame and you need to know if they have a med kit. Blitz will also work on a whole bunch of your other favorite games like Deadlock, Apex Legends, and Valorant. Download the Blitz desktop app for PC, try it out using my link in the description down below. So before we get into talking about the new teams, let's talk about what is going on with the actual meta itself. We had our evaluation cups today, so we got to see how Battle Royale is going to play out on EU, and we got to see how Reload's going to play out on NA. Kind of. There was a complete game-breaking bug where somehow during the NA Reload Eval Cup, they managed to make the Reload map and the Battle Royale map combine. So you had players fighting in these weird parts of the zone where on the regular Reload map, they would be on land, but because they're on the Battle Royale map, they were in water and there was invisible barriers they couldn't get around. It was a complete nightmare and it was a disaster, and no surprise, Epic canceled it. So unfortunately, NA didn't even really get an actual Eval Cup this week. They just got a complete 2-hour mess before it got canceled. But we got to see how Reload played out a little bit. When the map was actually working, it looked really cool for the new map. The new meta is awesome. Unfortunately, all the end games do still just go to heal off. There is a bit of an issue with the zones right now. I don't know if Epic knows, but the zones are currently pub zones. This is only in Reload, not Battle Royale. What I mean by that is all the zones just close in on each other over and over again rather than rotating in endgame. So it's just leading to giant heal offs because no one's fighting or doing anything. So unfortunately, Reload is an absolute nightmare. It's a complete mess, but Battle Royale was actually looking really good. There was some bugs as well. Helicopters were in. We had a hilarious clip of Mongraal going down to the helicopter. I'll roll that so you can see how that was playing out. Oh, you should definitely look up. Did they notice? Please tell me one of them saw and knows they don't have high grounds. Mongraal, look up. How did you not see it? You literally looked up and saw it. Oh my god, neither of us saw the helicopter. The helicopter landed on it. Well, oh hell no. We did not see it, apparently. Oh no, that ended so much better than I thought. We also had Malibuca abusing the helicopters to place second place in the opens, making it to finals, but it was vaulted. It looks like Epic didn't realize the helicopters made it into competitive. After seeing all this craziness, the helicopters are now vaulted from competitive. They've also been vaulted from public matches because apparently Epic have the helicopter in both game modes and they either have to remove it from both or leave it in both. It's a bit of a nightmare. OG has got a lot of glitches. Now, we also still have regular vehicles in. We have cars in competitive, and the fact they took out the helicopter but not the car makes me think they want the cars to stay in. And honestly, they haven't been too bad. There's a bunch of bugs and glitches and weirdness going on with the hydraulics. You can basically make the cars fly, but for the most part, I don't actually hate them. As long as they don't instantly destroy builds like we had back in the day with the semi-trucks, so you're just plowing through end games, I don't mind having the vehicles in. They're a bit of fun. They're a little bit goofy. It's not an FNCS season. I was enjoying it. Now, if you've played any of Reload, you probably know one of the biggest issues I'm going to talk about: the meds. There are just no meds anywhere on the map. It's easier to find a spaz than a big pot. And I'm not joking. I played about 10 games of ranked, and it was literally easier to find a spaz than a big pot, which is a huge issue. I was talking to Asarian. Again, they run all the stats on the back end of Fortnite. They go into the API and they check everything. And currently there are a lot of bugs with the loot pool. Right now, the blue pump just can't drop in floor loot and you can't get out of chests. But for some reason, the purple pump has the same drop chance as the green pump. They also have double the chance of getting a gold pump in a chest because they added 2 instances of the gold pump in the chest. So you can't get 2 of them, but you have double the chance because there's 2 of them in the game files. It's super weird. It's all over the place. I'm guessing Epic is going to fix this and hopefully they add some more meds to the game. It was kind of cool seeing people fight a little bit more shambles and not every game going to heal off, because people did have to play way more aggressive. I really like the grappler as the mobility. It's making high ground really, really fun to watch. It's making endgame super exciting. I think the grapple is a very, very balanced item. If you use it wrongly, you get absolutely beamed. If you use it well, it's super clutch. We also have 2 lots of launch pads. You have throwable launch pads like the item, and you have the trap launch pads, which is also leading to some fun mobility items in the game. As far as that, the rest of competitive, I was really, really enjoying it. There are some weird things like the burst rifle's audio isn't synced up with the gunshots and it feels it's super slow. I wish we had Siphon, especially with the lack of meds in the game right now. If we had Siphon, it would be so incredibly exciting. Boogie bombs are interesting. There's a lot of pros out there who obviously aren't enjoying getting Boogie Bomb one pumped because there is basically no counter once you get Boogie Bomb, but it's OG season. I don't mind this craziness being in the game. As long as they fix some of the things that are very clearly bugs and issues with the loot pool that aren't meant to be there, I'm totally fine with some of these crazy, goofy items. There's no FNCS, there's no major tournament, there's a bunch of cash cups. Let's have some fun, blow off some steam, and then we can go back to hardcore competitive in Chapter 6. So far, I am loving watching Battle Royale tournaments. I do have to talk about the aim assist buff, and I'm saying that in quotation marks. I got really excited for this. I included in my video on the new season. We had in the blog post them telling us they were going to buff aim assist. Now, after talking to a lot of controller players, casuals, and pro players, the buff doesn't seem that strong or there at all. Apparently, if you didn't tell controller players there was a buff, most of them wouldn't have guessed. Some people are actually saying it's making their aim even worse. Now, there is a bug on controller right now where sometimes if you pull out your build, even if you don't actually place the build and you go to edit, you still have your build sensitivity while you're trying to edit. And if you don't do this, that's totally fine. But a lot of pro players will bring out their build edits before they place their builds and hold them out and then edit. That is causing their sensitivity to go like 10 times through the roof, and it's making everything feel really weird. So if you're having that issue, that is a separate bug that is hopefully going to get fixed. But if you're just not hitting any shots, unfortunately the aim assist buff wasn't really that strong. And Fortnite did say in the blog post they're making it somewhat stronger. They didn't say they're making it twice as strong. We're going back to OG aim assist. So maybe a lot of us just got a little bit excited, hoping it was going to be some kind of a substantial buff. I thought it was going to be, because right now controller is just too weak. Again, you can argue with that as much as you want. If you're a mouse and keyboard player and you're angry hearing that, all you have to do is look at the numbers of professional players right now who are placing at the top level on controller compared to mouse and keyboard, especially compared to what it used to be. And there's a bit of an issue. Obviously, there's other issues going into that as well with surge trading and how much easier it is to get surge on mouse and keyboard. But for the most part, when over half the player base is on controller, I did want it to be a little bit stronger. I didn't want to go back to Unknown Army quad dinking and SMG 200-0ing people in half a second. I just want it to be a little bit stronger, but sadly, it feels basically the same apparently. Now, let's move on to talking about the big team swaps. We have Peterbot now dropping Cold and Booga to play alongside Poyo again. We have Peterbot and Poyo reuniting. I did say there was potential for Peterbot to replace Poyo alongside Rapid and Bolts. I thought it was going to potentially happen. They tweeted about it. They made a joke. And I said, well, I know this is a joke. There is definitely something going on with this trio. I didn't know who was getting dropped, but I knew someone was. And now we have confirmation. It's Peter, Poyo, and Bolts. It was Rapid who ended up getting dropped. Now, this has created a little bit of drama because Rapid has come out and said that Bolts actually did want to drop Poyo for Peterbot. He was willing to do that to make that trio. Turns out Rapid or someone for some reason didn't want to do that, and now Rapid has ended up getting dropped. So we now have an extremely terrifying trio of Peter, Poyo, Bolts. Now, a lot of people saying, how can Poyo trust Peterbot? How is he now playing with him after everything he did to him? you're gonna win with Peterbot. Poyo knows this. Business is business. Poyo has never had a big ego. Everyone's obviously realized that after playing with Peterbot. He's happy to sit in the back, do whatever Peter needs to win to support him, and then go on to, reap the benefits of that. And that's what he's gonna continue doing alongside Peterbot and Bolts now, which I'm pretty sure is gonna kind of answer the question of how this trio is gonna work. The whole reason why Peterbot split up with Poyo in the first place was because he wanted a Tarper alongside Cold. Poyo obviously could have done that, but for whatever reason, Peterbot didn't think he could or wanted someone else. It looks like Poyo will probably be stepping back into that Tarper role, doing a lot of the building in endgame, so Peterbot and Bolts can focus on just destroying everyone in that lobby. Now, it could change. Peterbot's probably going to do most of the IGLing and decision-making for that trio, but if he wants to do the building in endgame, all three of those players are phenomenally good. They could honestly do every single role. They're going to be working alongside their coach, Razaru, again as well, so if any of them needs guidance or how to learn how to play endgame a little bit better, they're gonna have it. That trio is extremely scary. They're pretty much gonna claim whatever POI they want on the map next chapter, and I'm guessing they will get it. If people were scared of fighting Peterbot and Poyo, they're definitely gonna be scared of fighting Peter, Poyo, and Bolts. Now, I'm hoping this has given Peter a bit more, respect for Poyo. Again, they did so well together and then ended up splitting up with him, then played with another trio, didn't do as well, ended up getting beaten by Poyo on another team, and now Poyo's giving him another chance. I don't think Peterbot's gonna waste that. I believe this trio is locked in now. I'm way more confident this trio makes it to FNCS than what I was either of the previous trios. Now, this leaves some other big names looking for a team. So what does this mean? So we now have Cold and Bugha and Rapid all looking for trios. It looks like Bugha's found his trio. It is going to be Bugha, Aviv, and Ree, which I'm really excited to see how that trio goes. Again, we'll have to see in the first trio Cash Cup in a couple of days. I was going to wait to make this video after the trio Cash Cup to see who actually queues up with each other and how well they do, but a lot of you guys keep asking my opinion. I didn't want to wait any longer. I can make another video after the trio Cash Cup recapping it. So we have Bugha, Aviv, and Ree. Now, as far as Cold, we've ended up with, at this point, Cold, Aegis, and Ritual. Now, a lot of these trios, again, I'm not 100% sure whether they're going to last, whether I think they're going to work really well. A lot of them are trying out playing together for the first time, or it's their first real look. So start looking at other trios around that are kind of established right now, like the Rise, Muzz, Clicks trios, and potentially we could see some players shifting out of those teams if they don't do well. I feel like this next trio Cash Cup is going to be so important. If any of these teams don't do well, 100% we are going to see a massive snake eating. There are now some absolutely phenomenal players like Rapid looking for teams who haven't really found their home yet. Yeah, we're seeing some tweets go around, but most of it is just it happening in Discords and friend groups, and then we'll start to get some proper trio announcements after the first few tournaments. Again, there is no FNCS this season, so I fully expect a lot of these teams to change up again as well, but for now, it looks like we have a few new trios on the block. Now, EU is not without this as well. We saw another big shift on EU, one of the best trios on EU, just like we saw with Poyo's team. We have Vico, Chap, and Flixie splitting up. Chap has been dropped for Veno. Now, Veno almost made his way onto Peterbot's team a few weeks ago, if you remember that. Almost got Bugha dropped. Well, got Bugha dropped, and then ended up getting dropped himself for Bugha again. We've now had Veno make his way onto what I think is one of, if not the best trios on EU. Vico, Chap, and Flixie have been dominating every trio cup so far. I have no idea how Veno is so good at getting these guys to drop people for him, but he's made his way onto that trio. I don't know if this means that trio is still going to be working under Razaru, again, the coach I was just talking about. Mostly Veno's worked under BloodX. I'm sure he's happy to work under Razaru. His accomplishments right now are insane, but that trio is looking very scary. I thought Vico, Chap, and Flixie would be one of the only trios to make it to FNCS on EU alongside Mustache's trio, but they have fallen, and we now have another big powerhouse trio on EU as well.